Hey, what is up? Hey, is this thing working? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and jump in a big board. My location stuff is not working, so I'll have to log in on my phone and enter it like this. All right. So is the sound a lot better today? Trying to mess with something here. All right. Yeah, so I got the 103. It's I'll move that over there. All right, good. So yeah, here at the 103, as you can see with my rankings, I have Jefferson 2. I'm not saying that's necessarily right or wrong, but the thumbnail today was Puka Nakua. He started to fall because of the Stafford news. He might be traded and all that. Now that Puka is going to have Stafford for another year, I think it's pretty safe to say that he should be one of the top three wide receivers. I think Jefferson, Chase, and Puka all make sense here. I actually like Bijan the most of the running backs, so I like that. I have a whole bunch of Justin Jefferson. I kind of want to get a little bit more Jameer Gibbs, um, but we'll go ahead and take Puka just to get a little different here. I Since I put it on the thumbnail, we'll go ahead and build him out. I wouldn't recommend usually to take Puka before JJ, but something that you can do is if you pull somebody up, like I did there, somebody who's usually going 7, 8, 9, you move them up to 3, 1, 2, or 3. Whenever you come back around to these other picks in this area, those from 21 to 28, 29 ish is a tier, and they usually don't ever fall out of those areas. So I can get Puka Nakua with some other players that normally you're not going to get with Puka Nakua. You're not going to get two of them. You may be able to pull one of them up over here, but you're not going to get two of those players. So that's the idea here. Not saying that it's going to work, but it's an idea. Um, the rest of the first round going wide receiver heavy. Usually Saquon goes at 2. Usually it's Jamar, Saquon. So we have a bunch of wide receiver heavy drafters here already. Uh, so that means probably going to keep taking wide receivers. If we see paying attention to the room matters a ton. So I'll keep that up. How do we do this? I'm trying to see if I can figure out how to move the chat onto the screen. I don't know. All right, so Brock Bowers, I love Brock Bowers this year in a tournament style where you have single game spikes. Like Brock Bowers is an insane value. Not very many tight ends have the ability to get 20 points in a week. And if he happens to get 20 points in the final week of the season, if he gets 30, he's going to be 10 points ahead of the rest of the field. Same thing to go with the advancing weeks 15 and 16. So having him on your team, he may not, but his floor is also pretty high for a tight end. So having him allows you to invest a lot less at tight end throughout the rest of the draft. With that being said, I actually really like Trey McBride as well. Trey McBride isn't as good as Brock Bowers, obviously, but he's up there. He's pretty close. By ADP, Jacobs and Irving are at the top. As my rankings, you see, I actually need to move Trey McBride up. I think I'm just going to go ahead and snag McBride and be good with that. I don't really want Jacobs, Brees Hall, or Irving on this team. The wide receivers were going off pretty heavy, so I'm assuming they will continue. So I'm going to take another wide receiver, most likely, unless Higgins, Wilson, DJ Moore are all gone. And even then, I may pull Xavier Worthy all the way up. JSN getting good news. DK Metcalf probably getting traded. They've been shopping him. Rumor right now is Green Bay for the 23rd pick and Dontavian Wicks or Romeo Dobbs. So if that happens, JSN is going to be the only wide receiver there, which also means he's going to see all the doubles. So I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. He pulls Garrett Wilson up. He leaves T. Higgins for me. That's honestly exactly what I wanted. So I'm glad I went ahead and pulled up Trey McBride. And this start will probably be fairly unique. And having unique starts is pretty valuable because the fewer people that have the allotment of players you have in that final week, the easier path you have to actually making a bigger cash. Go ahead and pull the draft board back up. So in this draft room, we actually have a lot of people I know. King of Kings, Emo Cowboy, I believe he is currently streaming. Off the Schneid, he is not streaming, but he was in Emo Cowboy's chat room. Sam King. I believe Antsman is also in that group. So those people, they all know what they're doing. Off the Schneid has pretty bold takes, but so do I. So not saying he's right or wrong on any of it. I was wrong on a lot last year. So I can't talk too much, So okay, we got Mike Evans getting pulled up a little bit. Let's see what Emo's doing. Malik Neighbors, who Neighbors was going up here at 6, 7, 8 before whenever everybody thought that Matt Stafford was going to possibly get traded to the Giants. People were pulling up Malik Neighbors thinking that he would be more valuable because he had a quarterback. Right now, Aaron Rodgers is supposedly going to be the Giants quarterback. We won't know for another week. Next week actually is when free agency starts. So we will have a lot of answers then. I'm very excited. So actually, Emo has both teams that Aaron Rodgers is linked to right now, Malik Neighbors and Brock Bowers. And he pulled Tatario McMillan way up. So what I did with Puka here, he did with Tatario McMillan. Tet is supposedly the number one wide receiver in this class. I I was a little skeptical on him. I like him. He's not bad. I don't know how high I like him, and he didn't test at the combine, so we have no more information. He has a couple. He's got more holes in his profile than most number one overall wide receivers do. And one of the other wide receivers, Matthew Golden, absolutely killed the combine. So he may end up not being the number one wide receiver, but we will see. That is, I mean, that's a solid idea. Getting Jaden Daniels and Ted McMillan, assuming that Ted actually falls and they draft Ted McMillan, would be that could happen. I doubt he makes it all the way back there, but that would be a solid idea. And Lamar going as quarterback 3, that is rare. Lamar's usually going up in here. Like, that's some value on Lamar. I have been seeing Lamar fall a little bit more lately. It's a good thing. Uh, it's actually led me to having my 8%. So we are 2 picks away, my team so far. Puka, T. Higgins, Trey McBride. According to my ranks, Chuba is definitely the pick. According to ADP, it's Chuba or Mixon. I personally prefer Chuba slightly. Um, and I think I'm going to go ahead and take Chuba. I'm not super overweight. I have 10% on Chuba. So we will take Chuba, and I could have taken Joe Burrow there. He usually goes to the person at the 4-5 turn, which we're approaching, that took Jamar Chase. But I actually don't like him here. If you take him without a stack in best ball, you're probably gonna not gonna do well. So if this guy on the wraparound doesn't take Joe Burrow, I will push him, and if somebody else takes him, that's great. Like, their team's worse, easier for me to advance. And I mean, the Chase Brown drafter could take him. That would make sense. But if he doesn't take him, I'll get him at major value. But he did. He took him. So we will just take unstacked Jalen Hurts here. Uh, as you can see, Jalen Hurts, I got 8 picks of ADP value on him. He normally goes where Lamar went this draft. So a guy who I don't have a lot of. I like to take those players when they fall. Like, that keeps me taking people that I don't necessarily want to have a lot of. If they start to fall, I'll take my shares then, and then if they bust, I feel better about it because I didn't invest that much into them. And if they're a smash, I win as well because now I got a better player at a lower ADP. So Omarion Hampton absolute killed the combine. He he was my running back too by a mile going going to the combine. That wasn't necessarily what everybody felt. He A lot of people liked Travion and Judkins and Caleb Johnson just as much as him. I never really thought it was close, and I kind of feel like it got proven that it was not close. Quinsaw Judkins, Travion Henderson, like he looked fine. He didn't run as fast as people expected him to, but he did good. Like he didn't do anything bad enough to hurt his draft stock. Uh, and his teammate at Ohio State, Judkins, he absolutely killed it. I think he weighed in at 217 pounds and ran a 4.48, and he was people didn't think he was going to run under 4.5, and then he did very well at all the other drills. Like I don't have the numbers up. Uh, I'll look it up. The combine had speed scores. I've seen it earlier. I didn't post it or look at it or save it. I did not save it. So the 40-yard dash, um, Hampton at 4.46 and Judkins at 4.48. And a guy who a lot of people really like, Caleb Johnson, he ran a 4.57. And I'm actually a not really a believer that the 40-yard dash matters a whole lot for running backs. Like you need to be fast enough to like create a little space here and there. Anything under 4.5, if you're heavy, is insanely good. And anything under 4.6, if you're heavy, is awesome. If you're a smaller back, like 210 or less, probably need to be under like 4.47 or something. But game breaking speed doesn't matter in the long run near as much as things like your actual ability to hit the hole or burst. Like the way that you set up a block, wait a second, and then have an explosion through the hole. Like that is way more important than your top end speed. And that's something that Travion Henderson is very good at. Like as soon as a hole opens up, he will absolutely explode through it. So I really like him. This is the highest I've seen him drafted, but I could definitely see that being a common thing. David Montgomery has been falling in these drafts lately. I don't quite know why, but I mean, I will take some more David Montgomery if this guy does not. And I could go him and Judkins. I could take some Calvin Ridley. So right here, there's two running backs I like. I will probably take the running back. And then there's 4 picks between there and my next pick. And there's 4 wide receivers that I like. So I'll probably, you know, I don't have any Quinshawn with Puka. So we will go ahead and take Quinshawn over Demont just to diversify what I have with Puka a little bit more. And with him taking Demont there, which is a great pick, I assumed he would take Demont with one of those 2 picks, which leaves me with one of those 3 wide receivers. And actually, I need to move Matthew Golden above Luther Burden. Burden didn't do anything to hurt himself, but Matthew Golden did a lot to help himself. And that's perfect. I actually really like Calvin Ridley. He doesn't have much competition, even if they draft or trade for somebody in Tennessee. He also doesn't have a quarterback right now. But this also opens up the fact that I could take Cam Ward, who may end up being the Titans quarterback, or assume that Sam Darnold or somebody ends up in Tennessee. Or I could just have him by himself. Like, no matter who they get, it's probably going to be better than Will Levis. Will Levis was definitely not a professional level player last year. But having him as my three. Like I have Puka Nakua, Trey McBride, T. Higgins, and Chuba, all to fill my number one positions. So you start three receivers. I've started really liking to get two receivers and one running back with it. Make sure I have two receivers and one running back by the end of 5 rounds. And then I can go super deep later. Like if I only have one running back through 10 rounds, that's fine if one of those was a very high draft capital guy. Um, or if I go three running backs in the first 5, but two receivers, like as long as I've filled all but one position of that position. So like running back, you start 2, wide receiver, you start 3. So if I have two receivers and one there, that means I just have one extra I have to fill with spike weeks. So if I go uh, 3 running backs, 2 receivers, and then I go 2 more running backs, and I have five running backs by like round 9 or something, and I have 2 wide receivers and let's say a quarterback and a tight end. Like yeah, my wide receiver is going to be deep, but as long as those 2 wide receivers were drafted in the first 3 rounds, basically, you can kind of, like, in theory, those 2 players should start every single week. And then you just look for a spike week between the other 6 guys that you're going to have on your team. So yeah, you can play it, and if you do that, you're obviously hoping to use your flex position out of your running back if you have 5 of them by round 9. So at that point, all you want is for one other guy to have a big spike every week. And if 2 of them do, and one of your first 2 guys don't start that week, like for bye weeks and stuff, that's fine. And that's going to happen. So, but in a situation like that, not that I'm going to do that here, but if I were to do that, you would just stop at five running backs to go in 6 or 7 like I do a lot. All right. Kyler Murray gets pulled way up the board here. That I was actually going to take Kyler if he fell back over here. He does over half the time. And as you see, this is what we call the purple pocket. Purple pocket, all these quarterbacks going. And this is about perfect. Darnell Mooney, a player I have rated way above ADP. I have him rated at 85. His ADP is 96. It's basically at ADP. I really like this pick. I have quite a bit of him, and I feel very good about this team right now. I have Puka, T. Higgins, Calvin Ridley, Darnell Mooney. I got a stud tight end here. I have 2 possibly really good running backs. And Jalen Hurts, he runs enough and he gets a bunch of rushing touchdowns. So it's not, you're not really locked into needing a pass catcher with him. But hopefully whenever this board comes all the way back around, Dallas Goedert's there. Goddard usually falls somewhere in there. So we're going to hit the ranking here and look at what we have. I don't really like pretty much anything here. So I'll just take Rashid Shaheed here and shore up that wide receiver room. You can start up to 4 wide receivers a week. So having 5 strong wide receivers is a pretty good play. Now, whenever it comes all the way back around, if Herbert or Drake May, either one of them is available, I will probably take them and then Dallas Goddard, if not. But I like all of these all of these tight ends equally. Andrews, I was really high on at the beginning of this season, or the beginning of best ball season, and I still like him, but there is a chance that he isn't on the Ravens. I think that chance is very low. Ninjoku, I'm very high on. Tyler Warren, I think I love him as a prospect. I don't know that he's worth taking above Tucker Kraft or Dallas Goddard or Travis Kelsey. I don't see that. Um, so we'll look at the board. We'll see what people are doing here. We got King of Kings, Amon Lad. I'm one of the few people that I know that really like Lad this year. He is better in a PPR format. This is half PPR. Kyron Williams, very solid. Jameson Williams, spike week guy. Chris Olave last year was going to the second round, and just because of his concussion issues, he's fallen all the way down here. Like he was not healthy last year, and it was mostly concussions. And there is a chance that if he gets concussed this year, he just doesn't play. But that's a good gamble to take. Pickens, if he decides not to whine all season, that's a great pick. Tracy, awesome. Like, I really like Tyrone Tracy this year. I was way over on him. I was taking him up in this area, and I noticed that nobody else was, so I completely stopped taking him. And I'm probably going to start picking him back up again if he's down here in this range. He got Jared Goff to stack with Amon Ra, and then he got Justin Herbert to stack with Ladd. That's perfect. That's exactly what you want. Pocket quarterbacks, you definitely want a stack with. That's an awesome team. Go back to the board. Two of the players that I want are here. We'll click ADP and see where these people are ranked. So this guy at the one hole, he doesn't have a tight end yet. So he might try to take Dallas Goddard and Tucker Kraft. Oh, he's got Jordan Love, so he wants Tucker Kraft, almost definitely. And he's got George Kittle. Maybe he wants. He probably wants Drake May. So, well, I'll go ahead and take Dallas Goddard, secure that stack. I have Darnell Mooney here, so I would much prefer Drake May to Michael Penix, but I do have the Michael Penix stack for Darnell Mooney. So we will let him see which quarterback I take. Because neither one of these people they don't have Kyle Pitts, obviously. He has not been drafted yet, and Drake London usually goes over here. Yeah, he went here, so I should be good to get one of them, and then he probably takes Drake May. And he did not. He took Trevor Lawrence. So I will take a second running quarterback here. Is the sound still good? I assume the sound's still good. I appreciate you helping with that. I do need to learn how to maneuver with the chat. Um, how do I do this? Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing there. It's all good. I'll figure some of this stuff out as I do this. So through 11 rounds, I have 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, only 2 running backs. And like I was saying earlier, Chuba is the guy that I'm expecting to start every week. So hopefully he is that good. And if not, this team's probably not great. I got him and Judkins, and I've got 5 wide receiver: Puka, T. Higgins, Calvin Ridley, Darnell Mooney, Rashid Shaheed. If Shaheed comes back healthy, that's a very serviceable wide receiver group. I'm assuming Travis Hunter went. Yep, he's starting to fly up these boards. So at this point, I should probably be looking at some running backs. And I could probably take one more wide receiver. And I mean, I could absolutely be done at tight end. I got a stack with Hurts. I could be done at quarterback as well. So we'll see. But if Michael Penix makes it all the way back, I might take him. I don't know. Like 3 quarterbacks is way safer. It's I don't know that I love it with the round 5 draft capital there, but I got a little bit of a slide there. Steph Diggs has been falling rapidly. His ADP 117. That's one pick 136. Like I haven't seen any negative news on his recovery, but there's also no buzz around him. Nobody's talking about him. So I didn't have any Stephon Diggs until last week, and I've taken like 3 shares over the last 10 drafts because he's falling to the late 130s. And I'm not I'm not by any means. I was not a fan of him. He was going at pick 103, 104 for the first entire month. I was not a fan of that. That is a great value. Like I'm a little sad that I didn't get that value. It's probably better for me though because I probably need running back a little more. So as you can see, this is highlighted here. If Tajay Spears available, I will take him. He pairs with Calvin Ridley. Get a little team correlation. Reason you want team correlation because, like, let's say that it's in week 14 or whatever. Oh, well, rain on my parade. How dare them? Can you believe they did that? I'll take Rashad White. I actually have Rashad White way above ADP. He is locked into a role. And it may not be a big role, but he had 40 receptions last year. And they ran pony personnel all the time, which is 2 running backs. So they had Bucky Irving and Rashad White both on the field a lot. And even though Liam Cohen is leaving, I don't really see that changing that much. So I'm going to go ahead and take quite a bit of him. And him as a third running back with 2 other guys who are solid producers will allow me to take gigantic swings at the end of the draft because this should be solid production. Not great production, but solid production. And my rank of this player is 10 picks before ADP, and he's fallen 10 picks past ADP. So if I want to say my rankings have any meaning, I should probably take him. So go ahead and bring up the draft board again. Anthony Richardson Uh, they've been talking about bringing in competition. Hayden Winks just tweeted out he could see Daniel Jones being that guy, and that would make a lot of sense because Daniel Jones has a little bit of running in him, and it's not real competition either because Daniel Jones is fine, but he's not good. But if Anthony Richardson doesn't improve, at least Richardson is okay. And if that happens, if that is what does happen, I could see Anthony Richardson going up in ADP a little bit because people will be more secure that he is definitely a starter. Jordan Whittington at pick 149, I cannot get behind. Yes, he looked really good in the playoffs last year. Yes, he is kind of fun. And Cooper Kupp is probably going to get traded. But with that being said, he also is most likely going to get more competition in. I would be pretty shocked if the Rams don't take a wide receiver in the first 3 rounds this year. Their defense was insanely good last year for as little, like they started off really bad, and at the end their 2 rookies absolutely started decimating people, and which helped their whole back end. So I could see them moving off from Cup and adding a new young piece like a Egbuka, or maybe one of the tight ends, which I wouldn't really like the tight ends because Tyler Higbee is. We seen what he done in the playoffs last year, and it was very nice. The Rams team missed him the entire season, and they missed him a lot. So Whittington, I was clicking when this contest opened, when he was going at pick 180, 190. I took him, one out of every 12 drafts or so. Um, yeah, I can't get behind that ADP. Just like the Debo Samuel, people are taking Debo Samuel. Oh, he actually went at ADP this time at 67. I like that. That's fine. If you hadn't heard, Debo, now a Commander. That's I don't think it's a good spot for him. A lot of people do think it's a good spot for him. I'm probably the one that's wrong. That's fine. But I also don't see him having a year that's so good that it's going to break all of my teams because I'm completely out on him. So I'm going to hedge that gamble and not just not partake in it. I personally thought that the Washington spot is a little worse for him. I believe they will draft a wide receiver, which will make him worse. Like, I mean, he may start the season awesome and be really good for advancing your teams. If the Commanders take a wide receiver and that wide receiver works out, he's probably going to be working out at the end of the season, which is where Debo will stop playing. So for the fantasy playoffs next year, I could see them, assuming I'm correct and they take a wide receiver, I could definitely see them moving on from Debo, like having him as a special package guy instead of having quite a bit of production for him. Uh, so with this next pick, I don't really like Isaiah Bond. I don't like him. I have way too much of him. Do I? What is his ADP now? Yeah, I think I'll just go ahead and take Alec Pierce. With Alec Pierce on this roster, that's probably enough. Like I could be done at running back. There's a couple last round running backs that I would really like to start taking a little bit that I hadn't been taking. So this allows me to maybe make a 7-7 build with 7 wide receivers and 7 running backs, which isn't a very popular thing to do. And this may actually not be the team to do that either because I didn't take a wide receiver in those rounds, but I really like this group. So it'll probably still be a set. It'd probably be 7-8, like a 3-7-8, or maybe it'll be 2-7-8-3. I think it'll be 2-7-8-3. All right. The Blake Corum free fall stopped. He's 14 picks past ADP. Ollie Gordon, who didn't have a great day at the combine, like it's overblown how bad his day was. He didn't run fast, but he's also 224 pounds or something. So you don't expect him to run fast. And he was always going to be that big. We all knew that. Uh, I didn't personally like his tape that much. 2 years ago, he destroyed college football, and then last year he got destroyed in college football. RJ Harvey also a big winner. I don't have the number right here. I'll look it up. But his RAS score, relative athletic score, was pretty high um, for the combine. So apparently they don't have it out. It's not updated yet. So I guess I don't have it. But it was like a 9 point something. And Isaiah Bond said he was going to break the combine record, run a 4.21 or under a 4.21, running the 4.19s or something. And like a total troll, went out there and ran a 4.41. You gotta love the confidence, mainly because it's hilarious. I and what's like everybody, trolling on him because of that. But he also looked really good in most of the drills, which I did not expect. I didn't think he was a very good player at all. He looked a lot better in the drills. I know it's just a drill. Like his tape still isn't great, but he looked better and more fluid in the drills than I expected him to. So I I don't know. I had 0% of him, and I'm probably gonna have a little more than 0% of him now. And Damian Martinez is my favorite player in this rookie class. He's not going to go very high. He's a third or fourth round draft pick, but he ran way faster than we thought he would. But most people in this draft class ran very fast. He he's a bruiser type. He's probably going to go to a reasonably good team because he'll probably go late third. And if he lands with like Cincinnati or the Chargers or the Broncos, like he is going to be insane touchdown value because he is very, very good at the short area quickness and bulldozing through small holes. So, well, I don't have like any Shadur Sanders. Um, And I don't know that I love it, but he's 20 picks past ADP. So I think I'll just go ahead and take a share of him. Call it good. I don't love taking him there, and the chance that he ends up, I mean, he actually could end up with the Saints, so that's a possibility. Uh, I would love it if he ended up with Tennessee, but Tennessee is probably going to trade. They're either going to take Cam Ward or they're going to trade with the Giants. And if they trade Cam Ward, move back, and then take Shedeur Sanders, like it's going to look pretty bad if Cam Ward actually turns into something. But if they traded back a second time and got Shedeur in the teens, that would look awesome. And Tennessee has a lot of holes, so that is something I could definitely be on board with them doing or trying. All right, so our build here 3-5-7-2. I might end up just going 3-6-8-3. I feel pretty solid at every position right here. I do have two very good tight ends, but if I add another tight end, it'll be in the very last round. Um, but I think I do want one more wide receiver and one more running back. Like I feel very good about this running back room. I didn't whenever I just had Chuba and Quinshaw by pick 140, I thought that I was probably going to have to go 7, but I really like the way that this came together. So, hopefully I'm not wrong there, but I'm just going to go with one more. And all right, so Emo Cowboy, we'll look at his team. Malik Neighbors, Brock Bowers, Tet, Jaden, Walker. He wanted the Debo. No, he passed on Debo and took Jennings. So Jennings, Jacoby Myers, Jalen McMillan, J.K. Dobbins. He's a player that is probably a good bet, but I can't make it right now. Tyler Warren. It's a very good upside bet. DeAndre Swift at 20 picks of value. That is, I don't know, like, they're pretty openly not in to DeAndre Swift. Like, they're looking to get a wide receiver or a running back. They said they were. Ben Johnson let him go the first time. So he's probably at best a backup, but a backup for an offense that we expect to be good. That's a solid, like, that's fine where he's at. Where he was going last week up here at the begin, like there, that is not good. That's a great pick. Trey Benson, big upside. Algier, big upside. Cam Ward, like, what's he getting Cam Ward for? Thinking that maybe the Giants get him. That makes sense. Oh, with the double stack with Wandale, Sam Darnold. So he go Jaden with 3 quarterbacks as well. Yep. Pretty solid team there. All right. So the board is pretty empty now. Um the guys I want at wide receiver and they aren't going to make it back. So I'm just going to go ahead and take Tyler Higbee to pair with Puka. Little team correlation there. And I guess I'm just not going to have a stack with Drake May. That's fine with me. I'm fine with that. I'll just take a rookie wide receiver here at the end. We'll take Tez or Ty Felton. Or I'll take Jalen Polk, actually, who rarely gets drafted. So with this pick, I used to take a lot of Will Shipley, and I think I might take him again on this team. So Shipley with this quarterback. I haven't taken Shipley with the quarterback, so we're just going to go ahead and do that. And then we'll take Jalen Polk, Tez Johnson, or Ty Felton with my last pick. And we'll come down here, look through some of these other rookies. Kyle Williams he'll go. He was a big riser at the combine. Jahan Dotson, no one cares. This Jalen Lane could be interesting. DK, he looked really good at the combine, but he did not have very much production in college. So hopefully, I have not done research on him yet, but I expect I I need to do that tomorrow. Actually, I think that's what I'll do tomorrow is DK, uh, Jalen Lane, Taj Brooks, Raheem or Rocket Sanders are some players who look good at the combine. That when I looked at them, I didn't. I either didn't look at them at all, like DK, or when I looked at them, I didn't like something about them. And in my notes, I don't have a reason why that makes sense based on the combine numbers. So I need to go through, relook at that stuff, and see why I'm an idiot. Or see or maybe just be like, okay, well, he's good at track. So it's one or the other. I'm an idiot or they're great at track. Both could be true. With this last pick, I'm 99.9% sure that Jalen Polk will be available. Um, but honestly, I love this team. Jalen Hurts, Drake May, Shedeur Sanders. Like I could have stopped at Drake May, but 20 picks of value. Like I'll take that on a player I don't really like a lot, and especially with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, the last two seasons has been hurt week 17, which is the money week. So I don't want to have just one quarterback going into the money week. Not saying it'll happen again, but it is a trend at the moment. Uh, Chuba Hubbard, Quinshon Judkins, Rashad White, Ray Davis, Damian Martinez, Will Shipley. That is a beefy room. All of those people will run you straight over. Puka Nakua, T. Higgins, Calvin Ridley, Mooney, Shaheed, Quentin Johnston, Alec Pierce. Puka, one of the best wide receivers in the league. T. Higgins, while healthy, was one of the best. He was number 12 in the season. Do I still have that up? I removed that. Points per game, T. Higgins was like number 12, I think, in the league. So, and Puka was, I believe, top 10 as well. I'm not positive. I charted all that out earlier today. I don't remember where Puka ended, but I know it was pretty high. I know T. Higgins was pretty high as well. So, those two, if they do similar to what they did last year, absolute smashes. And then I just need one of these five guys who are all upside guys. Darnell Mooney, big playability. Shaheed, big playability. Johnson, big playability. Pierce, big playability. I just need these guys to all spike on different weeks. And this team is going to be fantastic. And then the number 2 tight end and a stack with Jalen Hurts. So I love it. I'm definitely on board with this. Obviously, I drafted it. I I'm a lot happier with this draft than I've been with some of the other drafts I've done. So, but anyway, thank you for coming along. I am going to go ahead and end this stream.